I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can you all see that? Cool. So hello again. What I'd like to cover today is our journey so far. So it's just a really whistle-stop recap on the content that Susie covered. We're going to look at implementation. If you work with Susie and I from On Your Wavelength, this is what a program looks like. Obviously, it can be tailored, but generally this is what it looks like. Then we're being joined by the super Rob Worley from Coaching Culture, who's going to talk to us about the tools and facilities that Coaching Culture have. We're collaborating with them, and their tools are brilliant, really useful. And then we're going to look at return on investment. So is there a return on the investment in a coaching culture? So what happens when? There are a number of steps, standard steps that we follow. The first couple of steps is that we have an initial meeting with the client and the team leader. And this is really a meeting to create understanding of what team coaching is and the role of a team coach. So that's the role of Susie and I, and how team coaching differs from one-to-one coaching. We'll also cover what they can expect from us from the program, and also what we expect from them, because it's a reciprocal process. We'll do a bit of scoping with the client and the team leader to have a look at what kind of work we're looking at and what kind of outcomes they are looking for. That helps us to get a greater understanding if team coaching actually is the intervention that they need. Then we'll agree on the working arrangements for the contract. We then have a team engagement session. And this is a bit of a sort of getting to know yourself process where we introduce ourselves. We talk about the role of the team coach. We talk about our approach, what it looks and feels like. We get the team to introduce themselves to us so that we get an idea of who they are, and share a bit of information about themselves so that we can start to build a relationship. And then we have a conversation with the team to look at whether or not there actually is an appetite for team coaching. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Tickle. And during this process, one of the things we're looking at doing is seeing if we can establish if there's chemistry. Sorry, folks. Whether or not we can all work together. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cough. Excuse me. I don't know where that frog's come from. Sorry about it. So throughout the whole of this conversation, we're looking at the work that they want to do. This is so embarrassing. Looking at the work that they want to do, looking at building the relationship, getting to know each other, and establishing if they want to proceed. And then we get some agreement from them to proceed with the work. I'm so sorry. Please excuse me. Oh, dear.
Have you got a drink there, Karen?
I have. I don't know where this frog's come from.
It's a very tickly frog.
It's a tickly frog, and it can just, excuse me, bugger off. That's better. Okay. And then the next session, which we really like, is the team discovery session. This is where they do a bit of a team selfie. So they have a look at who they are as a team, who they are as individuals. They do some work around what a good team looks like and where they fit within that. And then we have a look at how they want to work together, how they and I, they and us. Oh, sorry.
Oh dear, poor Karen. I tell you what, I'll continue on.
Yeah.
And are
I'm
you
so
all right?
sorry.
Are you all right,
Yeah.
Karen? Or do you want me to take over?
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
I've had this awful cold.
Are you all right?
And I've been left with this terrible tickly cough, which catches up on me. Susie, could you take over, please?
Yes.
Fine.
Yes. Of course. I haven't got the notes printed, but I can carry on. But I think the important thing the team selfie is very much opening up and understanding ourselves and also how we operate as a team. And I think I just wanted to add that, the important part of this whole process is that we have the leader as well as the team members taking part in this. And you may remember that a couple of weeks ago, or actually was it last week? Gosh, where does the time go? That Gordon McKenzie joined us to talk to us about the PCS. And this is where, having gone through the team selfie and that process of self and team understanding is starting to develop, we work with the PCS process, which is really quite revealing. It's really quite exciting, but also quite challenging. And it comes up with a graphic as well as some text. We've talked through that before, and it demonstrates where the team leader believes they are in a series of transactional and transformational elements of the business, as well as where the actual members of the team are on that process. And it looks at, just briefly, because we have covered this before, but the goals and roles and processes, which are the transactional elements, and adaptability, connection, and resilience. And also we've covered the fact that adaptability is a key skill attribute to have in making teams really successful, in enabling them to be successful. And that the data from that diagnostic is then discussed as a team, and it is anonymous. Or so we're not asking people to put their names to what they've said, because there is some text. We do ask some questions as well in that process. But it is about looking at where is the gap and what's required to fill that gap. And the team coaching process that we offer supports that team, because as team coaches, we know that all team members have the potential, they have the knowledge, they have the ability. We enable them to bring a lot of that unconscious stuff into the conscious and start working on it. So it's rather like an iceberg. What you see above the waterline is usually 20% of what our consciousness is working with, and 80% of it is below that waterline. And it's actually opening up those discussions. So the PCS enables a much more challenging and powerful range of conversations in deciding where do we want to go in a collaborative, cohesive, and supportive process. And I mean, one of the elements here that I'm sure all of you are familiar with is around psychological safety, and feeling that it's okay to actually make any statement, come up with any idea. You're not going to be judged. And we do also offer a whole range of other support diagnostics as well. So
Okay.
So shall I move on?
No, I was going to say, shall I think I have recovered. Shall I take over again?
Do. Thank you.
Firstly, everybody, my apologies. Don't know where that came from. So
we're looking at team discovery.
So we're now looking at, we do a team launch session, and that's the initial session with the team where we start to explore the work that they want to do. We start to explore what their options are. start to look at what they consider priorities, start to look at how they work together as a team. And during this process, we're also establishing a working contract. You know, how are we going to work together? What can we expect from each other? And it's based, that contract is very ethically based in terms of conduct. We then have a number of team coaching sessions, some of which are coaching within a space where we're developing ideas and thoughts. But some of the coaching can actually be what we call live as it is happening coaching. So that might be that we join them for a meeting. Sorry, Susie.
Okay. Do you want to mute, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So yes, it's very much having some coaching on the spot. So it's starting to develop our coaching skills within the team, the way that we actually communicate with each other. And I think I'm actually reading a really interesting book by Nancy Klein at the moment about, it's called More Time to Think, The Power of Independent Thinking. And one of the things that she says is the human mind thinks more rigorously and creatively in a context of genuine appreciation. It turns out humans need appreciation, biologically that is, to function well. And people can no longer call appreciation an indulgence. And my view, or our view on coaching, is that it's an opportunity to provide more of that appreciation. And she's saying it should be in a ratio of 5 to 1 if you're critiquing something. I remember as a parent reading something that said you must praise 10 times more than you criticize, which is just quite a tall order, because I don't think it's something that's naturally in our culture. Yet I think having gone through the pandemic, it's even more important that we're starting to develop a coaching style. I'm just going to, I can't share the screen. So Karen, if you can just go to the next page, thank you. So we take our team through quite a rigorous process of self-evaluation, team evaluation, yet we support them throughout that. And Rob is going to talk to us more about the solutions that Coaching Culture Limited has developed to support individuals in, for example, if there might be a whole range of managers and individuals that would like to be trained in coaching itself. We can provide that support as well, Karen and I, yet we feel that Coaching Culture has a whole range of resources, one in particular called Mindset, which Rob will talk about today. So having taken them through that, what we also will do, and it's also, I think, believe something Coaching Culture does in their process, is there will be a final review, or there can be a number of reviews, because PCS is actually reviewed. We do a review every 6 months. So there'll be the long version initially, and then there's what they call a light version 6 months later, to see where everyone is sitting on that graph. And usually, 99% of the time, that gap has reduced. Yet if you do it over time, there may be times when there's a bit of a blip, some changes within the organisation, and that gap's opened up again. So what we weave into the process is a number of reviews and support throughout, that Karen and I are available. Yet what we believe is really important is the company, the client, the organisation takes on the responsibility for running with developing that coaching culture. It needs to be their coaching culture, not our coaching culture that we bring in. We're not consultants, we are team coaches. So we believe that approach is very different. Can you move me on one, please, Karen? So at this point, we thought it could be useful to have a breakout, and if Joe can kindly put us into groups, please. We can look at, we thought we could ask you to look at, and particularly if you've been coming to all of the 4 sessions and getting more of an appreciation of coaching culture. And I also want to recognize that lots of people have experience of particularly coaching with organizations, but considering developing a coaching culture. But think about what is the risk? And this is actually a question that was posted by Mike Bedford on our LinkedIn post yesterday, saying, what is the risk of not adopting a coaching culture? So I'd love for you to go off and have a think about that. Thank you for bearing with us this morning. Poor Karen, it's horrible. I know it's horrible when you have a cough like that. So with no ado, we'll go into our groups and look forward to coming back and hearing your comments. We had a really set of interesting conversations going on. How about everybody else? What came up?
I think from my perspective, it was, getting board buy-in, so changing the way, businesses work and how you do that really. So that's the big question. We didn't decide on the answer yet, so.
The $1 million question. I think Phil had a question he wanted to pose, which I think, Rob, you may end up answering in your session that's coming up. Rob, okay. Did you want to put it out now or a bit later? Sorry, Philip. I'm so sorry, Philip.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it out there and you can answer it either now or as we go forward. Yeah. So what I was really interested in was it's great. It's great to see that you want to develop a coaching culture, but how do you develop the competencies of managers as coaches? Because I think that's quite that's quite a big piece of work, I think. And obviously, the coaching culture, they've got to be able to coach. So just interested in how, where that comes in and how you approach that.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a solution for that, which I'll go through part of my slides. But yeah, capability is a big thing. So I'll cover that for you, don't worry.
Excellent. We had the answer to that one then, Rob.
Yeah, I've got that, yeah.
I think the board question is very much, what Karen and I need to be doing is working with the CEOs, the MDs, the team leaders, and it rather like with the team coaching, there needs to be an element of interest, ideally passion. Yet if there isn't, Karen and I's, our job to actually work with those people at the top to demonstrate, because there are some really big key, as you know too, Rob, ROIs to get out of this. And yes, it does take investment of time, but there are definitely huge benefits. And particularly around the two issues that came out of our group, if I can summarize, was one about retaining staff, because there are record numbers of people leaving and numbers of vacancies, but also about that bottom line, about improving business performance as we come out of the pandemic. Next year is pivotal, I think, for a lot of people. Any other comments that people want to share?
We had some good comments in our group. One of the things that we talked about was the impact of a superficial level of trust, and also managers not feeling courageous enough to demonstrate their own vulnerability, to if you like, drop the barriers, to move away from a command and control style of management and leadership and more into a coaching and inclusive style. Does anybody from our group want to expand on that? No?
Okay, so should we move on? Because I think Rob's got quite a bit to cover, and then hopefully we can have time at the end for questions. Yeah. Any further thoughts?
Can you all see the screen? So we're collaborating with Coaching Culture, and we're really pleased we've got Rob with us today. So that not only will, when we're working with a client, not only will they get us and our approach to team working and team facilitation, team coaching and developing the team, but they'll also have access to coaching resources through coaching culture, and they have a huge array of stuff. So I'm just going to hand over to Rob. Hopefully you can move the screen on yourself. You're on mute, Rob.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so if I just there you go. Okay, so I should be able to move that. Yeah, okay. Let's go back. It's very sensitive, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so hopefully some of you may know a little bit about coaching culture. We do a lot of work on LinkedIn and a lot of forums, so obviously you can find out about us there as well. But it's great to be part of this. So what I'll do now, I'll give you a brief overview of who we are, why we exist and what we do really. So about 15 minutes, we'll have any questions. And you can actually, at the end of when I've gone through an overview of some of the solutions, if you want to raise your hand to Susi and Karen as to whether you want a more in-depth look at it, or like a one-to-one guide around the platform and solutions, we can then send you some login details to try everything out yourself as well, and to get a hands-on approach to it as well. Because it's all very good me telling you what it is, how it works. Until you actually do it yourself, you won't really get much insight on it, you see. So bear with me. Okay, so again, my brief today was be informative, to have fun. So let's see what we can do. So if you don't know any about us, to say, then shame on you. But secondly, everything we do is about changing the way people think about leading and managing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to swap to my big screen so I can just share it there. So I'm not getting bored if I look over here. It's just where I've got it on the screen there for you. Okay. So go up. Sorry for this, 1 second. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to share. Hang on. Let me do this. There we go. We'll get there eventually. Let's change it. Okay. I don't know if you want to just take the screen, control the screen for me, because it's very sensitive on this side. Let's have a look.
Are you able to do that, Karen, or do you want me to do it?
Rob, do you want me to stop share and you can pick up your slides yourself?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I'll just share mine. It's a lot easier. Okay. Can you all see my screen now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so part of why we exist is, you probably know, down to a huge shift to what people expect in the work. So now more than ever, people want more reward, fulfillment, purpose, and the chance to develop and grow really. So I'm sure we've all seen that happen over the years. But obviously, what a coaching culture is can be different for each kind of business and what they think it's going to be. But basically, in our eyes, coaching culture is where basically authentic leaders, and managers help people to grow, thrive, perform through effective conversations and honest feedback, underpinned by that trust element. So hopefully you'll agree to some points on what we say there. So we try to squeeze everything in about everything we know into that kind of like statement. So I won't test you on that later, don't worry. And obviously we promote this, as I say, through our community. So we now have about 5,000 members of the community. So if you're not already a community member yourself, you can freely subscribe. It's basically like-minded people sharing best practice. And you've got exclusive access then to our free resources, which cover our magazine. So it's an award-winning magazine as well. So normally you'll get that every quarter, and the new one's due out in about a week. You'll also get the podcast, the webinars you can download, so you can see all the other magazines as well. There's various resources, all the events that we're putting on and so forth. So it's a really good community that we have. So loads of people on there, and it's great to get that physical copy of a magazine where you can have your tea or coffee as well to see what's going on as well. So, but basically, it's all about building and coaching culture. So, how do you do that? So based on like the feedback that we had from the community, research that we did ourselves, we came up with a framework. So this is basically, it's a 7-step framework which explains step by step how to build it. We have like a little booklet on this as well we send out to show it, but basically it's visualizing what it means to have a coaching culture, getting people excited, give them a goal to do, how you engage people into doing it, and then ultimately the solutions to help do that, the tools to create it and then sustain it. It's a bit like a diet, I suppose. You've got an idea of what you want, a goal, and what you want to do. When you want to achieve that, you want to carry on. You want to enjoy doing it. So how do you keep going on there and sustain that effect? So this is how we do it anyway in there. So I won't go too much into that, but I'll just go through the solutions of what it means to give you the tools to do that and sustain it, basically. Okay. So how do we do that? So these are the solutions I'm here to tell you about. So at the moment, we've got quite a varied amount. So we've got mindset, we've got lessons, which I'll give you a quick overview of in a second. We also do have feedback, assessments, surveys, performance. They're all being newly done. So we've had like focus groups over the last couple of months to have a little bit of a go at them, give us some feedback on it, where we've missed out on things, what they need more. So we've done all that and put them together, and they're going to be released next month as well. So I'm happy to give you more information on them later on as well. So, and of course, we do workshops and sessions we facilitate as well. So let's go back on to, oh, there we go. So mindset. So basically mindset, it's an amazing, well, I think so anyway, innovative. It's a self-coaching tool designed to make coaching affordable, accessible to everybody. Currently we have, I think it's 24, 25 short digital self-coaching modules. So these are all designed basically to raise a person's awareness on these modules, then change their perspectives and behaviors for the long term. So you've got typical things there. You've got resilience, growth mindset, well-being, all things that in a one-to-one coaching session that you tease out of people through these topics to see where their awareness is and then see what their behaviors are on them. My favorite is probably imposter syndrome, because it looks like a superhero really. So I always quite find that good. But if you were to do any of these as a user, you would first do a self-assessment on the module, and that generates a profile outcome based on your answers. So if it was growth mindset, for example, you go through the self-assessments like multi-choice, and then it gives you a profile outcome which gives you a either growth mindset, a mixed mindset, or a fixed mindset, one of those three. You've got some short videos from an ICF accredited coach on there to make it a very coachy kind of session. So they tell you what it means to have that kind of mindset. And then you'll set then some micro coaching exercises and challenges to do. Any questions you have within the module are confidential. So there's no worry about people seeing your answers who are going to read it. The only way people see them is if you print them off or show them to your team leader, your coaching champion, or whoever it may be. The whole module is quick, very easy, very engaged to do. And at the end of which you're encouraged to set goals and objectives and new habits to do. So basically, as I said, it raises awareness, changes behaviors and perspectives. And based on that, you will set goals. Time-wise, they take about 15, 20 minutes to complete. So it's not long at all. But I say they're all quite fun to do. As an organization, from an admin side, you can push out the modules to individuals, managers, specific groups of users, or make modules public for the whole organization. So if you're doing like a well-being week, for example, you can push out well-being to 100 people, 1,000 people, and get the results through to see where everyone sits. You can do the same with resilience. Or you can use imposter syndrome for new managers. So if they've been there in a role for 100 days, you could push that out and get the profiles back on that, to see where they are. So all the profiles are reportable on, but they are kind of confidential. So if you've got 10 managers doing a growth mindset module, you'll get 10 results through and then see how many people have got a fixed mindset compared to a mixed or a growth mindset. So then you can set your coaching based on the results that you get. And all those results you can filter by teams, locations, and even benchmark points in time, so you can see how things were 6 months ago. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. It isn't here to replace face-to-face coaching. It's used to be a blended approach. So it's combining the online and offline coaching tools to achieve what you need to as a business. So the way you log in, it's really simple. You can do it remotely, so you can use a desktop, laptop, a mobile phone with a unique password and login that you have. You can also, if you've got a learning management system, you can download the files into a SCORM format. And you also got a single sign-on function as well. So either way, it's really easy, whatever system you want to have, really. So we try to make it as accessible as possible, really. So, but as I say, if you have a go, you get your login details yourself, you can go through a couple of these modules, see what they're all about, and see what you think already, and ultimately give us some feedback on your thoughts, really. So hopefully that makes sense. The lessons is a little bit different. If I just check on that. So the e-learning lessons, it's a comprehensive suite of 25 e-learning topics. Now these are basically going back to what Philip raised before. These are designed to give leaders, managers the capability to coach. So it gives them the skills and knowledge and the confidence to help have that effective conversation. So how to coach, when to coach, in what situation, bring the best out of you. Most leaders are promoted based on their skill and knowledge of the job, I suppose, not necessarily on their coaching ability. So you'll have some leaders and managers who are confident in their ability to coach, and some people that aren't, confident. So this kind of bridges that gap between them. But obviously, e-learning can have a lot of stigma associated with it. It's more to do with compliance, where you just click your way through it. It's a bit boring, it's no fun. You're just doing it because you have to. Ours is kind of the complete opposite. The lessons are all bite-sized. You get a workbook to download to support that learning as well. So they're all animated, and they typically take about 10 to 12 minutes to do. So not long at all, basically. this will show you on the screen what they all consist of. So basically you have 4 collections, and you've got a various number of topics within that. So top one, you've got coaching for non-coaches, coaching conversations, coaching for mindset, coaching for skills. I'll just go on to that. So if you were to go through this, you'll go through like a what, why, and how structure on the how to present it. You'll have some takeaways, some quizzes on there. So it's, I say it's really quick and slick on there. So the foundation course is the coaching for non-coaches. So but that'll give you the essentials of all about coaching really. So the power of silence, the art of listening, asking questions, building trust and rapport, and so on. The rest are kind of the icing on the cake. You've got effective coaching conversations, which is our most recent one, but it also includes how to coach remotely as well. As I was saying to a colleague before, it's easy to coach someone when they're standing or sitting next to you. It's harder when they're online, as we are now. You know, it's hard to build that rapport, feed off, you know, people's body language. So that will take you through those steps. And there's some sessions where you can observe people there as well. So they're really handy to do. They're a bit like mindset and lessons, a bit like Netflix. So if you did adopt these solutions, then every time we bring another one out, and you like a new film, in this case a module lesson, they would just drop into the package. So I think the newest one we're bringing out is diversity inclusion. So that's to come out in the next month or so. And the best bit about it is obviously from an admin side and organizational side is the insights and reporting part, which I touched on before. So in reports, you'll have a list of all users, list of all lessons and modules, who started it, who's in the process of completing it. So if you want to, you can send a nudge to someone to say, you know, can you complete it by such and such a date? But it'll give you the areas of developments on the mindset ones as well. So who's got a growth mindset in terms of teams and locations, you know, who's ready for change, where your strengths and weaknesses are, where you need to prioritize. So you can drill down to kind of any level you want to. So that's the best bit about the solutions, really. Everything's reportable, everything's got an insights page on there. So, and again, I can show you this. Go on.
Sorry, are you able to wrap up in a couple of minutes, if that's all right?
Yeah, I am finishing right now.
Thank you.
I'm behind all this. We have what we call a success team as well. So we say our success, your success is our success. So everyone's assigned a success manager who takes you through launch, integration, engagements. They're the IT tech people doing all the setups. Nearly everyone renews as well, so everyone must like it, everyone engages with it. And we've got this screen here where I'm sure you recognize a lot of customers that we have at the moment, you know, charities, housing, big companies, little companies, local authorities. Councils are very big at the moment. The insights page shows you when people log in. They tend to log in like on a Monday between 6 and 9 o'clock. It is designed to go around the work schedule, but depending on your business and your job, you can log in at any time you want, really. So, but it's interesting to see when people do log in. And of course, everyone gives us case studies, recommendations, and you're welcome to talk to anybody as well that has the solutions. But yeah, if you want to get involved, obviously raise your hand at the end to the ladies, and they'll give you some more details, and we can book you in to give you a better guide and give you some login details to have a go yourself. Okay, so hopefully that did make sense. You know, it's very brief overview, as I say. So, okay.
Thank you, Rob. Can I have share screen back again, please?
Yeah. So I was giving it to Karen there. So. Does that work?
No. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. No. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So,
I think our big question here, whilst Karen's trying to find that, is what's the return on investment? And in fact, if anyone wants to come off speaker, off mute, because there was some discussion about that in our group. Phil, you came up with some lovely ones. What you might perceive as, or what is return on investment?
Well, I think, yeah, my view is all the all the potential benefits of developing a coaching culture in terms of engagement and people feeling that their ideas were valued. They had a sort of a share in the vision and the goals, etc., of the organisation. So it's, I suppose, that's the return on investment is I would expect you to see is around engagement, employee surveys. Oof, it's a bit more tricky in terms of turnover. I don't know, staff turnover, but all those metrics, the normal metrics.
yeah, and there was two quite nice pieces of research that have been conducted recently. The first of which is a PricewaterhouseCoopers annual survey in 2016 of global CEOs, when they asked them about the coaching culture, and the feedback was that the coaching culture can increase trust with the following impact: 75% less stress days, 13% fewer sick days, 40% less burnout, 76% more engagement, 70% more aligned to company purpose, 50% higher productivity, which is phenomenal, 106% more energy at work. How they came up with 106%, I don't know. 11% more empathy with colleagues. And then there was a further research conducted by building a coaching culture with millennial leaders, and we were talking about millennial leaders last week, and this was run by the ICF and HCI, and that came out with 61% higher level of engagement, 46% revenue growth above industry peers, and that's about performance, and 44% now have coaching as a line item in the budget. So some quite significant figures there, because of course one of the questions that your CEOs, your MDs are going to be saying, okay, if we invest in this, what do we get back for it? What is the return? So there's the hard bottom line figures, and then there's also the human capital impact as well.
And these details, Karen, we will research we'll be providing in our information pack at the end of these webinars. Yeah.
So
sorry, there was just a question from Phil that's come up in the chat. So why don't more CEOs coach? Anyone got any ideas?
They would probably argue time, Susie.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
I think it's fear of being exposed.
And I also think it's a fear of, or a lack of knowledge, actually, of what coaching is.
Yes.
And I think once they've experienced it, because I'm working with a lot of people who have never experienced coaching and they're loving it. They're really seeing the benefits. So I think it's getting out there and working with them and giving them an example of it. So anyhow, yeah, sorry, Karen, go on.
So thank you all for being with us over this last 4 weeks. We've really enjoyed ourselves, despite my coughing. And if you'd like to find out more or carry on the conversation with us or explore further, please get in touch with us either through info on your wavelength or through LinkedIn. We're quite we do a lot on LinkedIn, and we're having our website is currently being developed, and a launch date is imminent, so there'll be lots more information on our website.
And thank you, Rob, for joining us.
Yes,
and
thank you, Rob.
I think there's probably a lot of information there, as you say, that it'd be interesting, if people want further information about that, then let us know, because they have some amazing tools, and we feel that our collaboration will really create synergy in taking forward building a coaching culture. So thank you, everyone. It's lovely to see some familiar faces now over the month, and we look forward to keeping in touch. And thanks, Joe.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks very much to everybody for joining. I will be sending out some information for you for sort of extra resources if that's what you want. And yeah, massive big thanks to Karen and to Susie for all their input over the last 4 weeks. Next week we are running a boardroom about retention, so I will send the details out if you do want to sign up for that. But otherwise, thanks very much, everybody, and really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.